Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Thursday, December 23rd, 2021. It is the 357th day of the year, and as always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives. Because once again, we're going to be here spending another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in learning to use some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free, which is part of why I call it so accessible. On the website at whyagain.org. If you go to that website, click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner. It will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for almost 18 years now to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each one of us has been given. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click on the link, download it, print it off, copy it, and use it as often as you'd like. Or you can go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. And before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. If you tap on that, it'll download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And that app has been updated and now has all kinds of new features, including the My Commitment tool and a link that lets you ask a question at any stage of the game. Tap that button and it'll let you send an email. And we just keep talking about the primary issues and tools and hope it's useful. We're also doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year. This is the 357th day of the year. And today's lesson simply reads, Truth answers every call we make to the Creator. First it responds with miracles, and then it responds by returning unto us to be itself. So truth, the actuality of life, is miraculous. And if we hold the intention to see the truth, to see past the pettiness and the bitterness and the physical pain, etc. But one day, a major weather event struck. The wealthy family fretted over hearing that their housekeeper's family had become swept away, completely obliterated in the storm. And then, when that housekeeper showed up for work the next week, they tiptoed around wondering how they could help. They fully expected her to be morose and sad and downtrodden, to have lost her unbridled enthusiasm for the beauty of each moment. But instead, the housekeeper said, "Oh, we are having so much fun," she said. "My whole family, including all the aunts and uncles and cousins, we're living together in the basement of a church. It's been so fantastic, all of us being together." Pam writes, "Say what? How is that even possible? How could she find joy in what most of us would rate as one of the top worst things that could ever happen?" Stubborn gladness, my friends, is an internal decision. Life is sometimes going to throw curveballs. It's up to us to cultivate joy and find wonderment. Wonderment that, like air, always surrounds us. So I frequently ask people to choose joy. I frequently remind people that it is possible for them to choose joy. And that's today's Course in Miracles lesson. And the Pam Grout Course in Miracles Experiment Commentary. Choose joy. Choose the filter through which you will look upon your life moment to moment, and by which you create your experience of life, as is given in the Pam Grout story, exclusively independently of the flow of energy around you. You could choose joy in every moment. You could find the thing or things that there are there to be grateful about in each moment. You don't have to. That's part of that choice business, that free will that so many religions talk about. And yet, you can. It is a possibility in each new present moment. And when I wake up to that possibility, when I'm instructed, when I go beyond instruction into practice, I have the potential to choose joy, to choose the positive interpretation of life each new present moment. I forget where I read this, but somebody said, I can't be grateful about every little thing that happens in my life, and yet every moment of life I can find something to be grateful for. Your life, so that you are consciously, now he doesn't use these words, but I shared with him that it sounds a lot like consciously co-creating rather than being an unconscious participant in the creative process. It's exactly what he's talking about. It's so similar to what we share in the Mindshifter support groups and on Mindshifter Radio, that you have been given dominion over your mind energy. You get to choose the focus of your conscious attention in each new present moment. And it is the focus of your conscious attention in each new present moment, which is that force that creates your experience of life. It doesn't just influence your experience of life. What you choose to focus your conscious awareness upon actually creates your experience of life. Here's a story from Pam Grout of a wealthy family in the Philippines who had a housekeeper. And guess what happened? Their entire home was blown away. Their entire home was wiped off the map. Her choice to, as she was hunkered down in the basement of a church with her entire family and aunts and uncles and siblings and nieces and nephews, to just revel in the joy of how we're all together. In each new present moment, each one of us has that ability to choose the focus of our conscious awareness. And what we're doing in this work is putting out the call to people to wake up and realize how powerfully our choice of focus of attention actively creates our experience of life in each moment. It was fascinating to me how many similarities there were. He doesn't have the same vocabulary to talk about it. Doesn't have the same specific tools, but the author Juan Lee was talking about how it's all of these things that we've been through in our lives that we carry around with us, and every time they get stirred up, they create our reaction to life. And it's our job to learn more and more about that, to learn more about the traumas and the beliefs that we've downloaded from them, so we can choose differently. And we can proactively work to be creating a better life experience for ourselves. And that's what we're hoping that people are choosing to do with these tools. These tools available absolutely free. They're available on the website, or they're available through the app. And if you go there, print that off, download it. If you have any questions about how to use that in your life, you can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, or you can email Jeannie Rice at jeanie@yagain.org. And we'd be happy to hear from you. We'd be happy to respond. We'd be happy to support you in using these tools to make your life better. That's why we've been doing this work. And we're about a month away from finishing our 11th year of the Internet show. And it's in this year that I'll finish 18 years of doing one of the support groups one night a week, and 8 years of adding another, and donating my time to helping people discover and learn how to use these tools that have been so powerful in helping me improve the quality of my life and relationships. So, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you have a comment or a question, if you have a story to share, give us a call. Let us know how we can support you. 563-999-3581. I was spending some time this morning starting off again on the Tao Made Easy by Alan Cohen. As I've mentioned, that's one of several books that I listen to once or twice a year in rotation. And the thing that was standing out for me this morning is the idea of the gentleness of the Tao, the way, life. And when we are stuck, struggling, fighting, we've talked at different times on this show about Abraham Hicks, and the teachings from Abraham have been morphing and evolving over the years. And I remember a while back they were talking about how they had a whole segment, that whole theme of go with the flow. Go with the flow, go with the flow, go with the flow. And eventually, and they're very solid teachings, very much like the Tao Te Ching and the Tao Made Easy. And eventually they decided they needed to change the message they were sending because too many people were using it in a perverted way to sit around and do nothing and eat unhealthy food and or do various things that were poor for their health. In a fascinating way, the more I accept the flow of life and learn to go with the flow and do things with ease, the more active I become and the more I get done. And the Western mind just is boggled trying to make sense of that. How could this be? There's a koan that says, do nothing and nothing is left undone. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all to the Western mind. What do you mean, do nothing and nothing is left undone? Well, the Western mind is programmed to do things. Always be doing something. Be productive. Make a name for yourself. Be proactive, etc. And yet, there is other wisdom, even in the Western world, that says there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And if and when you stumble across an idea whose time has come, you don't have to put a lot of effort into making that come to fruition. It's going to happen, and it's going to start amazing you and other people at how much gets done, how much synchronicity, as Jung would call it, weird coincidences that just start to unfold as people settle in to the flow, as they recognize, oh my gosh, this is an idea whose time has come. And I believe one of the examples he uses in the book is that after our last presidential election, there was a woman in one of the remote islands in Hawaii that, there's such a long, winding road into that town that when you get to that town, there's a gift shop, and they sell T-shirts that said, "I survived the road to this town." And there was a woman in that town who, after she learned about who had won the election back when the previous president won the election, and nothing would happen if there wasn't this energy of desire. So clearly, it's not the obsessing, it's not the craving, it's not the passion that I generate for one thing or another. The energy of desire is like the scent of, the smell of, the aroma of the Tao. It's like the echo of a wind chime that arises from the movement of the Tao, of the way of life, of the flow of creation. This desire that's being spoken of in Lesson 4 of the Way of Mastery is so subtle, and yet it is completely unstoppable. It's like the essence of the aroma of the creative energy that is created with them, the movement of that creative energy. And it arises within each of us, and each of us has the potential to learn to recognize it and to get more and more clear moment to moment about its presence, its awareness, and what it might want to express through us in each new present moment. And that is just anathema to the Western mind. What's one of the words that comes up? One of the next words that comes up is if you become aware of this energy of creation, you learn to tune into it, you learn to hear the still small voice, you learn to interpret it accurately. What's one of the next words that comes up? Surrender. What happens in a Western mind when it hears the word surrender? It goes running, screaming out of the room. The Western mind doesn't understand that it is always surrendering to one thing or another. It's always surrendering to hostility and or fear and or sadness, or it's surrendering to this energy of creation. Some would call it love, some would call it the flow of life, some would call it the Tao. We are always being breathed. We are always being lived. We are always being lived through. We are being seen through. We are not, in an ultimate sense, the creator. We didn't initiate ourselves. we as individuals, as this spark of awareness, we have the domain, some dominion over where we focus our conscious energy, our conscious thought energy, our mind energy, as Michael Rice calls it. However, we do not create the mind energy. We just get to direct it. So I can take my mind energy and turn it over here toward a set of very negative and upsetting and dramatic interpretations about the fact that the tsunami came through and wiped out my house. Or I can direct that same creative force of mind energy over to a positive interpretation that says how wonderful it is that everyone in my family survived, or the ones that did survive have survived and are able to live together and to spend quality time together. As I direct the flow of that mind energy, trauma and false beliefs about myself and the world around me that I've downloaded and carried with me into that moment. And if I don't understand what those traumas and false beliefs are, I can start uncovering them with the very specific tools of the Reality Management Worksheet, the EFT tapping, the Mind Shifter Target Journaling tool, the 3 Early Memories of Conflict, etc. Available absolutely free on the website at whyagain.org. And the more I uncover what my mind is fearful of looking at, the more direct access I get to those negative conclusions and traumatic energies, and the easier it is to apply these tools and dismantle them. And we're hoping that you'll take advantage of that, because it is the primary reason we're here. I say primary rather than the only reason we're here, because the other reason we're here is because we get the benefit. The longer we teach this work, the easier it gets for us to recognize when we are out of alignment with the truth of life, when we are misinterpreting life events as being bad or wrong or damaged, when the fact of the matter is life is just a flow of energy. And ancient wisdom has told us that nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Right? I changed the wording as I was reading the Pam Grout Course in Miracles experiment commentary for today, because it said, I forget the name of the natural disaster. That was what Pam wrote. The fact of the matter is there's no such thing as a natural disaster. It's a natural flow of life. It's a natural event. It only becomes a disaster when human beings are around and they label it a disaster because they want life to unfold differently than it did in that moment. I just flashed on an issue. I forget, it's a lot of years ago now, but there's a major raft of forest fires that were going through Yellowstone. And man, in his and her great wisdom, decided they are going to stop this, because this is going to ruin nature. A forest fire ruining nature. Nature ruining nature. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Well, years later, when people went through that part of Yellowstone, guess what? The only indication there was of something dramatic happening, because nature grew back in great abundance. It grew back and strong and green and lush and all that good stuff. Guess what was left? The ruts in the side of the hills and mountains that man created with bulldozers, tearing up trees and shrubs and grass, trying to create a fire break, trying to stop the flow of creation. And that's the only remaining sign of the forest fire from umpteen years ago. It's going to take longer for nature to grow over and hide the damage that humans did, thinking they were going to be of help. The flow of life is just the flow of life. There is no such thing as a natural disaster. A disaster is a word that humans have created. There is no disaster in creation. There is just the flow of energy, flow of life, flow of love. Creation extending and expressing itself. So, when you have a negative thought or emotion, you might be interested to know that you're creating that. And the first step in creating your negative thought or emotion is a rejection of the flow of life, is rejecting what is. I don't want the flow of life to be what the flow of life is in this moment. There's the beginning of pain and fear and sadness on my part. I don't have to stay stuck there unless I'm completely unaware that that's what initiated my pain or my fear or my sadness. But when I wake up and I realize that I am the architect, I am the general contractor, I am the bricklayer, I am the...
An assurance that everything is okay as it is. Everything is going to be okay, but it already is.
Do a one-time donation, $1, $5, 5,000, 500,000, whatever. You can do a monthly if you choose to support it, and if you're not in a position to, then at least support us by passing it along to someone else and making this available, getting us to the point of critical mass. So our character Richard has just realized that he's the one who sabotaged his whole life. And so I invite him as that insight comes, because anyone who sees that is instantly going to shut down their breath. And I remind him to keep his breath open. You still have lots of life left. Let's tie what just came to the surface back to some of our earlier circumstances and discussions. Recall you said that women in your life were warm and loving at first, and then they became distant. I realize your thoughts made it look like it was them, but was that projection? Notice your thoughts earlier were that they changed, that they became distant. It sounds like it is you who becomes distant and blames it on them. Richard swelled with emotion again. If I can't believe, I just can't believe what I've done. And I beat everyone up for what I've been doing to them all my life. I don't know if I can handle this. This is a real crisis moment for people when they realize that everything...
Crying. I didn't start talking to her about all the good memories with that dog because she doesn't want that. She just wanted to go through that. The end result is going to be, and she knows, she could tell you herself, she knows when she's done, she's going to look back and see that she did all she could. And when she's done, she'll start reliving the joyful memories and the gratitude for having had 17 years with this family member. And yet, last night, she just wanted the space to be in and feel deeply the sadness. So, there's no despair in that sadness. There's no panic in that sadness. There's no thought that she'll never get over that sadness because she's done this kind of work. She understands she's creating that sadness. And it's okay. she's creating that intense emotional experience, and it's okay. At some level, she may not even call it sadness. She might just call it that intense emotion. I remember I've shared this before. I remember I was in my office once, and I had a gentleman say he was closer to 70 than 60 years old. I forget his exact age, but he said, every time I think about my friend, I have this intense sadness. And I said, well, I'd be happy to help you work through a worksheet to dismantle that. And he goes, I don't want to dismantle that. And I said, well, okay. Maybe what you mean by sadness is not what I mean by sadness. He said, why do you say that? I said, well, what I mean when I use the word sadness is an intense negative emotional experience that I want to get rid of as soon as I can. And he said, no, that's not it. I said, okay, what do you mean when you use that word sadness? He said, well, when I say this, I feel sadness. What I mean is, every time I think about this friend who died, I have these intense waves of energy and deeply felt emotions of connection. And my eyes water and I cry a little bit. And I said, oh, okay, well, I wouldn't want to help you dismantle that at all. That sounds like, a lovely thing to be able to tap into whenever you want to. So the definition of the word is important. Maybe people would want to refute or argue against my observation that I create my emotions in each new present moment, and I do that with what I'm choosing to focus my conscious awareness upon. Maybe they have a whole different definition for the word emotion. Maybe they are not very well practiced at experiencing their emotions and having confidence that whatever that energy flow is perfectly safe for them to see, to feel, to live through. And so maybe there's a definition to be explored that's different from one of us to the other. But if you're having a negative thought, a recurring negative thought, or a negative emotion about yourself or somebody else, and you're not comfortable with it, Michael and Jeannie Rice are offering specific tools absolutely free at whyagain.org, and we would be happy to help you learn about those tools and learn how to apply them directly in your life to improve your life quality, moment to moment, one situation at a time, one life event at a time, one reality management worksheet at a time. whyagain.org. Go to that website, click on the Start Here link, or give us a call right now at 563-999-3581 and press 1. And it'll show me that you have a comment or a question you would like to share or explore. Alternatively, you can send me an email if you're listening to this in the archives. My email address is tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And I would be happy to entertain your comments or questions, discuss them the next time I'm on an internet show, and then send you the link to how you can access that through the archives if you're not able to listen live. We've got about 10 minutes left on this Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas Eve, 2021. How can we support you? What's on your mind? What comments or questions do you have you'd like to share with us, or answers? Or perhaps there's a favorite poem you'd like to read. 563-999-3581. When we were listening to the Alan Cohen teaching on Tuesday night in the group, he got to the point about what is your identity, and getting people to understand that their identity is actually very, very different than anything specific to their height and weight and gender and bank account and geographic location. Your identity is this essence of creation expressing in form, that you are part of the God force expressing in life. It's what Joseph S. Benner writes as this spark of light or soul that is impersonal. That's the title of the book, The Impersonal Life. That until you wake up to realize that you are not the small identity that you, Tim Hayes, living in Illinois, degree in psychology, until I wake up and realize that's not the essence of who I am, there is no actual thought happening, because what's happening is my mind is spinning out all of these things I call thought, which are just echoes of the conditioning that I've been through in my life. Because I started out, after I popped out of my mom, I started out as this crying, whining, eating, peeing, pooping machine. I didn't have any language. I didn't have any awareness of the world around me that I could, communicate to another being. And everything about my language, my ability to comprehend myself, my ability to communicate with others has been programmed into me. And so unless I awaken to the awareness that there's a creative force that's far more powerful and expansive than my conscious logical mind, unless I wake up to that, the only thing that comes out of me is this mechanical spinning of thought, what Guy Finley calls a mechanical level of consciousness, the hamster wheel of thought. You, as an essence, are far more than what you call your physical body. So Alan Cohen was talking about that, and it made me tap into the memory of, in Lesson 4 in Way of Mastery, it says, when someone next asks you, who are you? Please don't give them a name. Do not say, well, I was born in a certain town on a certain part of the planet. Do not tell them that you are a Democrat or a Republican or a communist or an atheist or a Catholic. Instead, tell them the truth. Who am I? I am the extension of love in form. I have never been born. I will never taste death. I am infinite and eternal. I shine forth as a sunbeam to the sun. I am the effect of God's love. I am the effect of creation expressing in form as love, and I stand before you to extend that love to you. The book then goes on to say, now that will raise some eyebrows. It will also transform your world. It might just be time for you to stop seeking an answer, God, Christ, love, outside of yourself, and start choosing to take responsibility for birthing that awareness of the Christ mind inside yourself, to incarnate as a conscious co-creator in life, as a part of the one mind, aware of itself and its true nature. that is what's possible the more I use specific tools like the reality management worksheet or the EFT tapping or the Mind Shifter targeted journaling tool to take responsibility for and actively dismantle anything that generates a negative mind state, a negative cognitive, mental, emotional experience. The more I dismantle those, the more I take responsibility for being a part of the co-creation of them, and then dismantle them, the more clearly and directly I get to see, feel, and experience myself as that extension of love in form, as a part of this flow of life, not separate from anyone or anything, connected to all that is and all that expresses around me. That's what we're hoping, that's what we're offering, that's what we're inviting people to do, to join us in this process, and to actively pick up and use the tools that make that possible each new present moment. We have about 5 minutes left for any comments or questions. 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, I'll see a little icon of a hand waving and click on it and announce you by your area code. How can we support you on this Thursday approaching noon here in the Midwest? (563-999-3581). As I mentioned yesterday, there will not be the first hour of shows next week. I will be back doing shows again on January 3rd, but next week, as a week, I will be spending with family and friends and not doing therapy with people and not doing support groups and not doing internet shows, just what I think people call it a vacation. I think that's what they call it. It's been a while. I haven't heard that word in a while with all the coronavirus restrictions and everything else. But so I do plan to be here tomorrow, and then I will be off for a week. And if there's anything we can do to add to your life and make your life and your relationships with friends and family more loving, let us know about that. Michael and Jeannie should be on here in a few minutes to do another hour of the show. If you're thinking about family gatherings with fear or trepidation, these tools might be extraordinarily useful. If you know how to apply them, please do. If you don't know how to apply them, just ask. And we will be happy to instruct and support and co-create with you solutions for a better life. Again, I will remind us that Alan Cohen, as a teacher, is very gentle, very well-versed in a lot of different spiritual teachings, great familiarity with the Tao Te Ching and the Course in Miracles and a host of other teachers and philosophies. So if you're interested in something that you might pick up to read or you might listen to on Audible, I can highly recommend either The Course in Miracles Made Easy by Alan Cohen or The Tao Made Easy by Alan Cohen. And these are clear, gentle, respectful. I think in one of his intros he said that he has discovered that he has a knack, an ability for being able to describe very highly complex dynamics and situations in a very simple, easy to understand way. So that's part of his living his life and improving his life, is to living into his reason for being, creating a purpose in his life, is to use that gift to keep going at complex or difficult topics and doing everything he can to make them understandable to more and more people. And I think he's succeeded brilliantly at that quest in both the book, The Course in Miracles Made Easy, and The Tao Made Easy. So I will remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Appreciate you. We had a little drama yesterday. They told us to come pick up Dad at 4 o'clock from the hospital, and we got there, and he couldn't even stand. He's so weak, he couldn't stand up or walk or do anything, and there's no way we could bring him home in that shape. So they readmitted him, and they're going to try to get him in rehab. So we will see what happens.
All right. Well, blessings, and have a wonderful show, and good
Thank
luck
you.
with all the health for you and the entire family.
Thank you. Thanks.